Hello, welcome to the Houston SWL YouTube channel. I was going to do a video about the comparison of these two radios. I've been posting some videos on some of the shortwave Reddit boards, and people were asking about specifically the black one, but they're pretty similar, but they do have some differences in the features, so I'll just go through that based on my experience. I bought these both off of AliExpress, and been checking the website recently. They're both roughly about the same price. So let me try to pull up that page on AliExpress. All right, so here's a page showing the ATS125 radio, and as you can see, scrolling through here, there's various prices, looks like, for the same thing. And I guess from my take on this after looking at it, it looks like there's separate vendors all selling on AliExpress the same products, and I don't know, I guess it seems like they could set their own price, so I think that's why it varies. But you can see that this radio is going for, I clicked that link by mistake, but this is $70.12, and there were some others that were actually selling for a little bit more than that, 88.59, 102.28, but I'd go and check the page because maybe they might be offering some additional items along with the radio. And if you go to here, you can see the what they're noting as the DP-666, and that's the same as the black one that I'm going to show you, but it's a different form factor. It's out to the side like this, whereas the new one I bought, same thing, DP-666, except the name on it is SPARKELEC instead of DP-666. And on that one it has just the different layout in this direction, which I kind of like as opposed to this layout, but I think it's just all personal preference and case design. So let's see, this is selling for, it was $74, so I think they're roughly about the same prices on AliExpress. And they both use what's called this TEF6686 chip. This is the same chip that's in that Chodosin, is it the 286, I believe? That's a really popular radio nowadays. And just doing an AI Google search, it says it's the NXP TEF6686. It's a high performance single chip. It's made by NXP Semiconductors, AM/FM radio IC, often used in automotive and premium portable radios for exceptional sensitivity and selectivity, renowned for superb FM/AM long, medium, shortwave, and RDS performance. It acts as a software-defined tuner. Then it gives some common examples, include the AMN Volt ESP138, the ATS125, which is what I'm going to show you, and various DIY portable radio projects based on ESP32 controllers. All right, let's look at this ATS125. I bought this, I think, sometime last year. I've been using it for quite a while. Really like it a lot. I use it mainly with an external antenna for shortwave and AM radio DXing. So just some of the features: it has this red power on button, which you have to press down for like 3 seconds before the radio comes up, and it'll show you this TEF, and it says on there it was kind of quick, but the software version is this 2.00.15 mod 15. It flashes up there pretty quickly. You can see it's NXP ATS125, so I don't know if this radio is made by NXP Semiconductors or not. It's kind of hard to find information about it. But you can see they note the TEF6686, and it has this display that's pretty common for these Chinese-made radios. At the top here on the right is a tuning knob, and next to that is a squelch knob, and there's a little hole right next to it to reboot the radio as a USB-C charging port, and a built-in antenna that unfurls fairly long. Nothing on the sides, nothing in the back, and then down here is the external antenna jack, which is kind of a problem in my opinion. So that's why I bought this. This is just an iPhone holder, but it can tilt. So when I'm using it with the external antenna, I can just plug it in from the bottom and it works pretty well. But other than that, I think you'd probably have to turn it on its side to use it, which I don't like. But in the software, there's a way to supposedly turn the screen, so I guess it'll face the direction if you're holding it like this, but then all the writing is not in the right area, so I just like to use it like this, plug in the antenna in the bottom. So it has the numeric keypad, 1 through 5, 6 through 0. It has a mode button, bandwidth button, DX button, which I'm not really sure what that does, and an enter button. And then these are the volume buttons for up and down. And it has a Bluetooth feature, so you can actually play some Bluetooth device through this radio using its speaker, or you can have Bluetooth to connect the radio up to headphones. And I found the Bluetooth was a little finicky trying to get that to connect, and there's no manual that comes with this, so you're either searching on the internet, looking up videos from other people who had the radio and figured out some of the features on it. So those are the quick main features of the radio, and if you press the mode button, hold it down, you get a screen with a bunch of different options, and it's the same screen as on the DP-666 that I'll show you. Hit mode, you'll go back out, but some of the things I don't really like about the radio, or maybe I'd just say should change, but the tuning knob is nice. This would really be nice if it's a volume knob instead of the squelch, because I never use the squelch. I think that's really only useful for the air band. And all the advertisements I saw, it seems like they don't really note air band, but you can select air band. You have to go into the menu. I think it's AM settings. It's one of the settings where you have to select air band, or you can select the different bands it'll tune. So I believe when this came, it was already set up for AM, FM, and shortwave and long wave, but air band wasn't selected. But you can go in through the menu and then select air band as well. So it'd be a whole lot better if this was a volume knob, in my opinion. And so they did change that on this DP-666 that I'll show you, which is a nice change. Again, you have to press and hold down the power button for a couple seconds to turn the radio off and to turn the radio on, which is, I don't know, it's not that big of a deal, but it's just kind of a delay, which is sort of a hassle. Again, you got to turn the volume up and down with these buttons. It'd be much easier with a volume knob. Just use that at the top and put a squelch knob or a tuner dial on the side, which is what the DP-666 does. There's no external headphone jack, so you have to use the Bluetooth, which is kind of finicky. So that's another issue. So those are kind of the main things that are, to me, kind of a drawback for the radio. The plus is the performance with the long wire, some kind of external antenna. I have never noticed any ghost images or overloading or anything like that. So works really well with an external antenna. I did notice on the airband it was like picking up a WWV time signal, so there's some kind of bleed over on the airband, but I hardly use that since I'm not close to any kind of airports or anything like that. I should probably take the radio out and try to test it out further on that. But it's a really well made radio. It feels substantial, made of, I'm assuming this may be aluminum, with these screws holding it in, which is kind of a unique design. And I guess you can get some adapters to plug into the 1/4-inch external antenna input, or whatever that is for millimeters. I can't remember. You can find those on Amazon and other sites. So that's the ATS125. So this is the screen. So you can go into the mode button, and it cycles through to manual mode. That's when you can just enter a frequency directly. Hit enter, it'll go there. Hit mode again, it'll go through auto. This is what I really like about the radio. So if you turn the knob one direction or the other, the radio will seek up and down until it finds a station. So we're here sort of like in the afternoon in Texas. I'm not going to get much, but if I turn this, say, clockwise, the radio starts searching up, and then it'll keep going until it detects something to stop on. You go back counterclockwise, it'll search down. So this is a really nice feature, in my opinion. And then the third mode is this memory. So you can store frequencies in memory and then search through that, but I don't use that. I normally just keep it on the auto mode. I'll punch in a frequency and then scan up or down. This is the band, so it'll cycle through. This is airband, as you can see here. FM, long wave, medium wave, short wave. So that's the different bands. Has different bandwidth filters, so you can see they're selected here for 3 kilohertz. It's 4 kilohertz, 6 and 8. So 4 different bandwidth filters, and it gives a signal strength indicator there, dB, microvolts. Has a battery indicator showing what 68% there. And then a signal strength meter here. I haven't figured out if there's a way to show a time clock on this, but I think for, I don't know, $70, $80, it's a really good portable radio that you could take with you on a traveling, camping, that type of thing, and it's pretty solidly made, so I wouldn't be worried about you having any problems with it. So let me slide over the other radio, and let's sort of compare the features. The form factor is definitely different. This has a little wider display screen than the ATS125. It has a power button, but it's on the side, and you can just momentarily press it. You don't have to hold it down. It comes up with a similar screen. And this is on shortwave as well. You can do the, enter frequency manually, hit enter. So the display screens are basically the same since it's using the same software chip. Move this closer over here. So you can see it's currently in the auto mode. So it again mentions the DP-666 chip. It has RDS radio data system, same as this. This gives you information about the only on FM broadcast. It notes high sensitivity, same thing here. SPARKELEC, I'm assuming that's the name of the radio manufacturer in China. DP-666, I guess that's the model number, but similar things as 1 through 0 or 1 through 9. This is the enter button, just it's not labeled enter, but it's the same thing. DX button, which same thing as the bandwidth, band, and the mode. So same thing, if I hold down the mode button, you'll get the same variety of screens that you can change a bunch of things in the radio here. Just hit mode to go back out. Display screen is similar, except on this one, looks like you could set some type of time and date, but I've been messing with that and can't figure out how to save it at the moment. If you power off the radio, the time goes back to, I guess it just starts a timer again, so I haven't figured that out yet, but it's not a big deal actually. So the bandwidth, currently it's shown as on 4, 6, 8, and 3, so it's the same as on the ATS125, 3, 4, 6, and 8 kilohertz. Bandwidth filters, so that's all the same. The band, so it's on shortwave, air band, FM, long wave, medium wave, or AM. So all that's the same. So it's, to me, it's basically the same radio inside. It's just the packaging and form factors are different. But one of the couple of things I prefer on this radio versus the ATS, I'll go through those, but let me stick the antenna on it. So this doesn't have the built-in antenna like the ATS125, so it came with this cover, and it comes with this antenna that has the SMA connector on it. So I just connected that on to the radio, but if I tilt it up, the antenna, it's not quite as long as on the ATS125, if you can see that. But I guess one of the nicer features of this has a similar tuning knob. Same thing, if you turn it clockwise, now it scans down. Whereas on this one, if you turned it clockwise, it's scanned up. So that's a kind of funky difference, but I'm assuming it's different manufacturers building the radios, and it's just different. Now they put the volume knob up here, which is really nice. So they got rid of the squelch on the top, move the squelch to wheel here on the side. On the ATS125, it had the charging port and reboot hole or button on the top, whereas now they moved it, the USB-C charging port here, and there's the reboot button. Like I mentioned, the squelch on the side, which is a lot better in my opinion. And there's actually now a headphone jack, which is good, so you're not relying on the kind of the Bluetooth, finicky Bluetooth to connect to it. And I believe this is just a lock switch, so if I turn it into the off position, it won't power up the radio. Again, you hit the power button, automatically powers off. You don't have to hold it like for a couple seconds as on here. You press it once, it'll take maybe a second to power up, and this has the mod 16 of the same software. And so if you want to connect an external antenna on this one, you just unscrew the antenna, and then you can get adapters. And I have a long wire radio antenna that I use, so I have an adapter that I can connect my coax up to this input, so that's really nice. So some of the pluses I think of this DP-666 are the removable antenna. It's not fixed, so there's no external antenna jack or connector, but you can get adapters and take the antenna off and plug, adapt whatever kind of antenna you have for it. The volume knob is now on the top. Squelch knob is on the side. There's a headphone jack on this side. When you press the power button, there's a pretty almost immediate power on. There's immediate power off. Everything else is pretty much the same with the buttons and the features like that. Both have RDS for FM, The case on this appears to be some kind of composite. I'm not exactly sure. It may be hard to see, but you can see it's kind of it's not smooth. So I don't know if it's some kind of printed. I don't know if it's 3D printed or what other type of material. But it's not. It's actually, well, hard. But I think it's actually lighter than the ATS125 because of the case. And I guess the only kind of funky thing, if you have one radio and going to use the other, like I mentioned before, this auto tuning of the knob causes this to tune in a different direction as the other one. So, but it looks like with this Mod 16 software, there is a way to get the time on there, because there's a spot it doesn't show on the other, on the ATS. I think if I go to other settings, now there's some other features. You can see it has a number of more selections in this other settings, and here's one you can set the date, set the time, and then there's some set local time. So I messed with those, but just can't figure it out. So I think that's one of the differences with this Mod 16 versus the Mod 15. But I have an external clock, so that's not a huge deal. And you can select, like for the battery display, either a percentage or like a green bar. So these are both showing the battery percentage left. And I know for this ATS125, the battery display isn't accurate because the radio shut down well before it got to 0%. I think it was like 25 or 30% showing the radio would power off. But it does last quite a while on a charge. I'm not sure if the DP-666 is going to have the same problem with the battery power indicator not being accurate, but I'll find that out as I keep using it. So these are these two radios. So I've had this maybe a little over a week, and it performs to me just as well as this one with an external antenna. There's no overload or ghost images, which you would expect to act the same since they're both using the same chip and firmware. So you know, in my opinion, I would just prefer to get this mainly because of the volume knob is a big difference, and it has the external headphone jack, and the placement of the external antenna. I guess if you want to use it on a trip or somewhere, you can just get an adapter and maybe just plug in a real antenna, get some type of adapter, or just alligator clip it to the whip, and can do it that way. But either way, I think I've been pleased with both radios, actually. I enjoyed using this one for the time I have it, and looking forward to using that. So I'll make a separate video just comparing the two radios with my long wire, which is the other room. Let me see if I can pick up anything here just on the whip inside of the house. All right, I did find one station, 13845, a religious broadcaster. I don't know if this is WWCR or where it's from, but just on the whip antenna. See, the atmospheric conditions aren't the best, fading in and out. I do notice if I do put my hand near the radio, it seems to affect the signal some, or maybe not a whole lot. Thought I noticed that earlier. Let's see how this sounds on the DP-666. Not coming in quite as clearly. I know the atmospheric conditions are not the best, and this does have a little shorter antenna, but I'll just do some further comparisons later, but it did seem like this one was, signal was coming in quite a bit better on the ATS125. Back to the ATS125, but signal is fading in and out. Back to the DP-666. Got a bit of static. All right, here's the DP-666 on FM on a public radio station here in Houston. As you can see, it's coming in clear with the radio document or data system. You know, if the signal is, station is broadcasting the information, it'll show here with the RDS, so Houston Public Media, KUHF. 58.1 showing signal strength meter. Let me see what it's coming like in on the ATS125. And it's coming in clear. The signals isn't quite as high. And it's showing, I guess, this signal strength, but more than adequate. Let me try go to AM and see what that sounds like. All right, here's 790 AM. I believe this is a sports station here in Houston. You can see the signal strength there, 51 dB microvolts. S meter, a little over 10. It's coming in clear. Maybe I'll try to get a weaker signal and compare. Turn the volume and turn it up on the DP-666. Again, it's nice with the volume knob. It's coming in clearly as well. They both seem to be coming in about the same strength. Let me see if I can get another signal on AM. Right, I believe this is another local station for the Vietnamese community here in Houston, 1560. Not coming in as strong as the other one, but still coming in pretty clear, about an 8 on the S meter. DP-666. Turn it up on the ATS125. Looks like a pretty, about the same, fairly close, pulling them in on AM. All right, so that's a quick tour of these two radios using the TEF6686 chip, both made in China. So like I said, I'll be doing some other videos hooked up to the external antenna and pulling in more shortwave stations and doing a compare that way. Thanks for watching. Mahalo. And if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Thanks a lot.